It's a little bit different. I will not try to introduce the speakers. They will introduce themselves. That's the way they can speak a little bit more. Let's see what's in the agenda first. Let's get our chairman, Chris Tudor. Let's get Chris Tudor here to give us a little bit update with what's happening with the Shelby County Republican Party of Shelby County. Chris, you want to come forward? Chairman Chris Tudor.
Thanks, Master. Good to see everybody. Thanks for coming out. Hey, do we have anything going on the next 40, 50 days?
Besides, I hear some good food somewhere.
Oh, that's right. That's right. You're right. We have.
Early vote 14th.
I was trying to deadpan. I guess it didn't work. Guys, we have a lot going on. We have a lot going on. The most important and pressing thing is we're with a lot of our great candidates. Remember, we're 45 days out from November 3rd. 42 now. 42. This is going to be talked about a lot tonight, but you need to get involved if you're not. You personally. I'm talking to the person in here who has not made a phone call, has not knocked on a door. You need to get involved. We have congressional races. We have local state rep and state senate races. A lot of these races are going to be decided by several hundred votes. And that's where you can make an impact. You know, people always say, well, you know, my vote doesn't matter. You know, that's not true. We did away with that illusion, I think, in Florida in the year 2000. And that's certainly the case here. So we need you, if you're here tonight, obviously you're at least interested, and hopefully you're passionate about advancing conservatism, but we need you. And we're doing everything we can at this headquarters. If you want to come up here and volunteer, we're open 10 to 6, Monday through Friday, 10 to 2, Saturday. These candidates need you. I hope that you'll be able to connect. Maybe you'll something that someone says tonight really resonates with you. I encourage you to make a personal connection and get involved. The other thing that we're going to be a couple other events. So the most important thing, right, is these elections. And I hope you get to interact with these candidates. But we have some events coming up that I want to make you aware of. We're going to have, I think the Republican Women of Purpose and the Young Republicans are going to be hosting a debate watch party this coming Tuesday, the first debate here. I think it starts at 8 o'clock. It's going to be fun. I mean, I think I would pay $100 if it was on pay-per-view. It's going to be good. So I hope you can join us next week. And then the big thing that we have going on, and I want you to put this on your calendar, is October 23rd. October 23rd, we're going to have Ambassador Bill Hagerty, so our presumptive next United States Senator, Congressman David Kustoff, all of our great candidates. We're going to have our Lincoln Day. It's going to be a socially distanced, Corona compliant, but still really, really fun Lincoln Day. Friday, October 23rd in Germantown at the Great Hall and at the Grove. It's going to be really good. We're going to be selling tickets shortly, but put that on your radar. It's going to be great. So a lot of opportunities to get plugged in. We need your help to win. We need your help to win. So, thanks.
Chairman, thank you. Hey, you guys are so quiet today. What's going on? Is something smelling really good? Clap one more time for our Chairman, Chris Tudor. So next on the agenda is the Treasury Report, and our very best, John Pearson, is here to let us know that how much money we have.
Our reconciled cash balance at the end of August was $17,538.02, and our balance on hand as of yesterday was $17,538.02.
What does that 2 cents come from, John, by the way?
That was my contribution.
Okay, any questions, concern about the Treasury Report? If you don't, I need a motion to approve the Treasury Report. And it's second?
Second.
All right, everybody agree with that? Say aye.
Aye.
All right, so Treasury Report passed. Now, the next on the agenda is the Secretary's Report, and unfortunately, Yvette is our Secretary. She has been working a little bit late, so we'll defer that Secretary's Report next month, perhaps, so we can move on. We do have a couple things going this month and next month. As you know, in September, we actually put together a nomination committee who nominates officers for our East Shelby. And then, of course, you can nominate yourself to be part of the nomination committee. You can definitely nominate yourself to run for officer for East Shelby. And the election will be in October. Is that in October, Gus? Gus usually keep me straight. So September, we put together nominating committee. Nominating committee will nominate people, but that's not all. You have the right as a paid member. Remember, the criteria is you have to be a paid member of East Shelby for 1 full year before you can be part of being an elected officer or being in the nominating committee. So if you have done so, you are more than welcome to let us know that if you want to be part of the nominating committee or you want to run for any position if you are not already nominated. So at that part, these are like tough job, and the only person who can do that is Gus. And so I'm going to let Gus handle that, and Gus also will recognize elected officials, and elected officials are present here today. So with that, I will invite Gus. He is our first vice. Mr. Gus.
Now, first vice, does that mean I get to do a lot of vice, or what does that mean? Oh, okay. Okay, now the agenda, as you take a look at it, indicates we introduce people here. So if you're not a speaker tonight, but you hold an office, would you stand up and say what your name is? If you hold an office, okay, but you're not, we'll hear from you later on. Peggy?
I'm Peggy Lark, I'm State Executive Committee Woman of District 31.
Okay. Anybody else? Yes.
We're on that line. I'm Drew Daniels, SEC member, District 33.
Okay.
And I'm Charlotte Bergman, State Executive Committee member of District 33.
Or you can still put that in there. Okay, anybody else not speaking tonight? Anybody else running for an office that's not speaking tonight? Yes.
I'm Brian Curry. I'm running for the Germantown School Board, position 3.
Anybody else running for a position tonight that's not speaking? Excellent. Okay. Now, if you did get an agenda, you will notice that there's a list there with regard to the nominating committee. And the nominating committee as proposed consists of Bob Morgan, Danny Kale, Dean Olner, Pat Allman, Peggy Larkin, and somebody by the name of Gusta Pruitt. Any comments or anything else on that? Is there a motion to accept the names as
So
presented?
moved.
John?
Second.
Second. Any additional comments, discussion? If not, can we,
Gus, do we need a motion to close the nomination at this point?
anybody want to go ahead and move to close the nomination? Okay, moved. Second? Everybody's quiet? Okay, thank you. Okay, moved and second that these names have been presented, and let's vote on it now, and we'll just do it A or nay, okay? All those in favor of it, say A, please.
A.
Nay? Oops. You didn't hear a sound. Okay, so they've been voted unanimously. Thank you. And I'm going to turn this mic back over to this guy behind me here.
John, I think that's enough. Gus, thank you. You always does such a great job. And by the way, Gus is the chairman of the nominating committee, so if do you want to run or you want to be nominated, this is the guy I would take out to dinner. Or lunch, or whichever you feel comfortable. Gus, thank you again. Guys, I want to share, again, we have a lot going. That's one of the reasons, unless you were a speaker today, just like Brian Dunn and Charlotte Dunn, just say who you are and if you are running for a position. So we can go ahead and get to the speaker real quick. But one thing, with the heavy heart, I don't know, or maybe joyful heart, I want to announce something today. It's a great loss for the state of Tennessee. Gus and his wife, Erla, moved here, what, 8-9 years ago? 5 years ago. And in 5 years, it seems like they've been here 50 years. You know, he's not 50 years old yet, but they actually followed their daughter. Their daughter is the reason they came here, and fortunately or unfortunately, their daughter actually moved to Ohio, so they're actually following their daughter again. So we're about to lose two of our heaviest pillar, Republican pillar, Gus and Erla, next month. So, and I want to thank. If you are sitting, if you can stand up and thank Gus and Erla for their service to our community. Gus, thank you again. Erla is not here today, but we'll be friends forever for sure, and we will definitely miss you too, the biggest way. So, with that being said, I want to recognize a couple of people real quick. Jake is back there. Where's Jake? Jake? Is Jake? Okay, so Jake, of course, represent Congressman Kostoff. He's probably walked out for a minute. Let's see who else I want to recognize. Rita is back there. Rita and Megan, they're part of one of the most exciting group, the Filipino Americans here, right here in Shelby County. Rita actually had to go to work. She's a nurse at the Methodist. Look at the dedication. She is in her uniform. She still attended the meeting, and she's going to quickly go to Methodist Methodist Germantown to go to work. Thank you, Rita and Megan and Maria. She's part of that Filipino group as well. Thank you and welcome. Anybody new here? Okay, with that being said, we can quickly go to is it Megan and Anita here? They have an exciting event coming on the 10th.
They are not.
They're not here,
They're not
okay.
here, but
We got Jennifer back.
Okay. Hey Jennifer, all right. Jessica, welcome. Welcome, thank you.
this is the first time in about 20 years she's been this time. So
Arla just walked in, Gus's better half. Let's stand up one more time and honor Arla. Arla, we were just talking about you and Gus, that what a loss it is for our county, for our state. And we wish you the best, very best, and we will definitely miss you. I've been missing you guys every day for sure. Okay.
We're gonna miss you all, believe me. Thank you so much for your friendship.
Thank you so much. It's an honor. So let's go to Paul.
did you want to let me make the announcement for Megan and Anita?
Megan, okay, go ahead quickly. Let's do that.
Set your calendar October the 3rd at 9:30 at Top Gun in Bartlett. They will be meeting for basically, if you don't know what it's called Drag the Interstate. The MAGA Drag the Interstate CD, I've got paperwork I can share with you, but it's like a car parade, and they're hoping to have 100, 200, 300 cars with Trump flags, Trump signs, American flags decked out on their cars, traveling through Memphis, out to Somerville, over to Jackson, Covington, and back through Millington that afternoon. And basically just one long car parade. Go to the internet, check out MAGA, Drag the Interstate. They've done it a month ago. They're doing it again across the nation. This is not just locally, but across the country. And Megan and Anita are the ones putting that together for the Shelby County area.
Great.
Awesome event. I'm so looking forward to October the 3rd will be a busy day, as you know. Haggerty also coming, our next senator is also coming on October the 3rd. Quickly recognize our lovely and very wise, very hardworking Christina Garner, our executive director. And this is personal. I want to recognize a guy who was one of the most powerful guys in our county, and Fred Smith sent him all over the United States now, so we're missing him. But we're lucky to have him today. He was the former chairman of the Shelby County, Mr. James Harvey. James, thank you, sir. 30 seconds to say hello to everybody.
I will say hello. You never, a politician, prior politician, never turned the opportunity down to talk. But I wanted to say I'm really excited about the race. I'm excited. I live in Memphis, but I travel. I have an apartment in Indianapolis because I live there. I'm traveling for FedEx. I'm a regional HR manager. But I wanted to add something. NASA, the next time I come, I want to make sure, after this election, I want to make sure NASA is running for something. The last time I left, he was bringing us together. He pulled me out of a meeting with my company this evening and said, James, you got to come. You got to let people see that you're still living, and you're a Republican, and you're red blood, and all of that good stuff. And I said, NASA, you was excited when I left here, so what's going on there? So listen, I am wired up, fired up. They're doing a lot of stuff in Indianapolis. I want to make sure that I supported NASA's request for me to be here. I do support the calls. I hope that we are successful. And I promise you guys, whatever NASA runs for, I will be working for NASA all over every part of Memphis because he deserves for us, all of us, to pay him back for all of the devotion and commitment. I'm still going, his business is in my community where I live. And when he's not there, I go when his wife is there and I eat fish and I tell her that NASA said it was okay if I eat free. So I owe him. So look guys, thank you, God bless you, and good luck on the race.
Mr. James Harvey, he's always a terrific speaker. Yeah. When I called him, I didn't really give him much time. I'm like, James, what are you doing? He goes, well, you know, meeting is something I do 24/7. I'm like, so you have a meeting this evening? He's like, yeah. I'm like, I don't want to hear no BS. I want you to come to this event today, right now. So and he came, thanks. Every time I wanted a dear friend, a dear brother, always been. Every time I asked for James, he always responded. Thank you, James, again. All right, guys, let's go to our John DeBerry just walked in, I believe. I saw him back there. Okay. All right, let's go to John Calypsi. He's running for Tennessee State House 97.
97.
97 is correct. I am so good. All right, Sean. Okay, yes. All right, John. Here you go, John.
Thank you, Nasser.
Yes.
Much appreciate the opportunity to speak to you tonight. Can y'all hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm John Gillespie. I'm running for the Tennessee House, District 97, Bartlett, Cordova, and East Memphis. Just to give you a little bit of background about myself, a couple years ago, I really kind of moved back to Memphis about 10 years ago and really started to see just exactly how much Shelby County was starting to grow from when I lived here when I was in elementary school. And Shelby County, Memphis, Bartlett, Collierville, all the municipalities. And I got to thinking, what is impeding us? Why is Nashville growing at such a higher rate than we are? Why is East Tennessee growing at such a higher rate than Memphis and Shelby County? And I'll be honest, I was focusing on a career in baking, so I wasn't really putting a whole lot of thought into it. So fast forward 2 years ago, I met with Representative Jim Coley, who holds the seat now, and he informed me that he was going to be stepping down and not running for re-election due to some health reasons. And he gave me about 3 weeks to think about it, not a whole lot of time, whether or not I wanted to run in this seat. And more importantly, that if I did run, he would back me. So, with that, I went ahead and made the move to get into this race over 1.5 years ago. And since then, it's changed a lot. We went from having originally just one opponent in the race to having 4 Democrats. Oh. Sorry, I'm gonna interrupt my speech there. We went from having 4 Democrats in the race and 2 Republicans, and my opponent that ended up winning in the Democrat side has just been surprising everyone. I think myself included, it's going to be a very tough race. She does not believe in the issues that I believe in or that we believe in, and I believe that focusing back on that, making Shelby County a little bit better, putting us up even playing field with Nashville and East Tennessee, which they've been for many, many decades. I think that's what we need to focus on, and the way that we can focus on getting that is by focusing on education reform here in Shelby County, but across the state. And when I say education reform, I mean adding VOTEC classes to every high school in our state, and adding pre-kindergarten in every school in our state. I think by doing that, we can make some significant improvements in our education system. So, secondly, our criminal justice system is a joke. We have so many people that are locked up that don't need to be there, and we have so many people that are getting out scot-free, committing murders that are not serving time. There are a lot of state laws out there that need to really be amended and looked at, because we are seeing yesterday in Germantown, there was a carjacking, and unfortunately someone was shot. I read today that that same person that did the carjacking had been arrested 8 times prior for other carjackings. What was he doing out on the streets? So we need to take a really hard look at that. And lastly, economic development. I do believe that at the end of the day, businesses, whether large or small, are the ones that drive our economy. We need, as government leaders, to do everything we can to facilitate companies moving into the state, hiring skilled labor and workforces to work here, bringing people from outside the state to move here, and really to elevate our economy. I think what makes America great is that we live in a capitalist system that allows people to operate in a free market, and I think the government's job is to assist that in growth. So those are kind of the 3 reasons why I'm running, why I decided to run, and I'm gonna just leave you with, you're here. I know you're somewhat interested. I desperately need your help. Let me repeat that. I desperately need your help. All the candidates here desperately need your help. If you want to decide to work for all of us, that would be great. If you want to come just work for me, that would be great as well. I will have you to door knock, call on phones from the comfort of your couch. I'll feed you. I'll do whatever it is that you need me to do for you to come help me out to ensure victory, because we cannot lose this seat. If my seat is lost, it sets a standard for 2022, the next big election that we have in Shelby County. If the Democrats take my seat, they are going to think they can take the entire ball game, and we cannot allow that to happen again. We just can't. So again, I'm John Gillespie. I ask for your vote, I ask for your money, and I ask for your support. So please, I've got to run out, unfortunately, after this to a fundraiser, but my contact information is scattered throughout. I've got leaflets and I've got signs over there. Even if you do not live in the district, take a sign, please. That one person may pass by that can vote for me and see it, and you'll change their vote. So I'll leave you with that, and thank you, and God bless.
John, thank you. And as he said, this is probably one of the most critical elections we have. His opposition, she has been endorsed by Elizabeth Warren, who claimed herself to be Indian American, so you know how that goes. So it's probably gonna get some national attention, so we got to get behind John and make sure we keep that seat. Let's go to Rob White. He is running for Tennessee House District 86. In fact, he is the Republican nominee. Rob White, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, my name is Rob White, and like you said, I'm running for District 86 State Representative, and I'd like to thank the East Shelby Republican Club for this opportunity to speak today. And I also want to say God bless everybody in this room, because we are going through some times where different people have different issues, but we have to pull together, not forget about humanity, and look out for each other. And if we do have issues that are extremely pressing, that are putting our families at risk, one of the things that we have to do is we have to come together, we have to pray, we have to believe in incremental progress, taking large issues and breaking them down into smaller issues, and just have faith. One other thing that I want to speak on is that there's a lot of different things going on in the community that have been overlooked. 3 main points of my platform are community-based researching community-based platform, meaning you go into the community and you research the community. The other point is modernization of homeless shelters, and the last point is skilled apprenticeship jobs for juveniles. Going into the community, researching the community, we have to have people that are willing to go research the constituents. After you go research the constituents, we have to have people that are going to create realistic action plans to actually fix some of these issues in the community. And we have to have people who are going to be willing to go get resources if they don't have resources to fix the issues in the community. Now, on the modernization of homeless shelters, one of the things that a lot of people don't realize is that between the downtown, midtown area, it's about 1,000 homeless people. With it being 1,000 homeless people, if you look at Shelby County Schools has a system where it's when you deal with the child, they check your ID, they make sure that you're not a sex offender, they make sure that you're not a violent molester or rapist, they make sure that you're just basically not a criminal. Now, maybe 85 to 90% of the children that are in Shelby County Schools basically live on less than $10,000 a year. So what happens is that if you have almost 90% of 100,000 children that's living off of less than $10,000 a year, if a child has an issue at home, mother gets into it with husband, boyfriend, grandmother, they have to stay in a homeless shelter. There is no system in place to separate sex offenders, violent rapists, murderers from children in homeless shelters. So if you look at SES has a lot of inappropriate touching incidents in elementary school, and they don't know where these incidents are coming from. So one of the things that I'm very interested in is modernizing homeless shelters because of the poverty level, because we have to monitor the people that we have around women and children once they're in homeless shelters. The next major issue that I've seen is that in the area, we have a lot of corporate companies that subsidize taxes, which is fine because they bring jobs in. One of the things that we have to do, we have to have a piece in place, whereas when companies subsidize taxes and then they come into the demographic area, when they start issuing jobs, people are not actually qualified for these jobs, but the taxes are subsidized on the front end. So we have to have skilled apprenticeship positions that are a trade for these subsidized taxes, whereas we have children in the 10th grade, the 11th grade, the 12th grade, they actually go and work for some of these companies, and when they work for these companies at the 12th grade level, once they graduate, they'll already have skills because they work for a company. So with these skilled apprenticeship jobs, now you have a 12th grader that goes into a company and actually can work a job. And if he's 18 years old and he lives in an impoverished area, now he can actually help mom or dad. So I'm all for, helping children, because, we have like a issue with crime right now. We have to do something in place. So with that being said, I'll also say that one of the other things that I've noticed about just the area as far as politics, when I look at like the Democratic Party, one of the things that I've seen that they've done that the Republican Party really hasn't done is they have a lot of factions. They have like these different groups of organizations, retired teachers, retired police officers. They have a lot of factions. So you can have a person that can spend a lot of money on a campaign, and what happens is that if this person has 5 or 6 factions, you can spend $70,000 or $100,000, but you're only going to reach those people that are outside of those factions. And a person who's basically grounded with 4 or 5 factions, they don't have to spend as much money. So one of the things the Republican Party will have to do is overcome some cultural-based diversity issues, because there are a lot of minorities, Hispanics, and African Americans that would vote Republican, but they're not voting Republican because of social issues, but not political issues, because they believe the same thing. They believe the same thing, but cultural-based diversity issues based off of what I think my relationships between other races are the reasons that they're not actually voting Republican. So with that being said, I would just say that from a humanity standpoint, we just have to come together, and we have to find some neutral, we have to find a neutral place where we actually can bring people together to package them into Republican factions, whereas we can get people voting based off their political views and basically not them, I guess, backing away from the Republican Party because of social issues. You know, that's another thing that I noticed. And I'll also say in conclusion that once again, you know, I'm excited to be here. This is my first time running, you know, and I've learned a lot, and I really, really appreciate all the advice and all the people that have actually helped me and, you know, giving me a lot of advice and, you know, and people that are giving me opportunities to speak right now. So I'll pass the mic on to the next person, but what I want to say is that I really appreciate everybody. And like I said, my platform is more community-based. Surveying the community. Once you get into the community, create a realistic action plan to fix the issue that you survey. And after you create a realistic action plan to fix that issue, if you don't have the resources, find the resources to fix the issue you surveyed.
Well, thank you. Isn't he a good guy? So I want you to know, Rob actually goes around in his district or outside the district. He takes his a little food trailer or something and go around feed people. And nobody knows. I happen to see that because somewhere some media picked it up. That kind of guy he is. So one more round of applause for Rob White. So now our next speaker is Patty Puzzle. This is the district, was our, it should be ours, and we gave it away. So now we try to get it back. Patty Puzzle, ladies and gentlemen.
All right.
I'm going to do is A, say thank you all for coming out, but 2, welcome to Cordova. This is my home. This is 96. You're in it right now. So my story begins with, I'm not a politician. I never dreamt of being a politician. But when I woke up to a newspaper article in 2012 that said my home got annexed into the city of Memphis, I said to myself, well, wait a minute. How did that governmental entity make decisions about my property when I did not vote them into office? My background is in education, comprehensive social studies. Therefore, I taught civics, you know, American history and things along those lines. So the first thing I did was pull out my Constitution for the state of Tennessee because it doesn't take you very long to figure out I'm not Southern. I came from somewhere else, Ohio to be exact, where Arla and Gus are going, Cincinnati. So I moved 13 times before I got here. So when I read the Constitution, in both the federal Constitution and the state Constitution, it said that we had a right to confirm our governance. That was point number 1 in my beginning. So I then spent the next 3 or 4 years doing a lot of research. Who did what, when, where, why. 4,600 documents later, I can tell you who did what, when, where, why, and also the financials. So with the background in education, the other thing that Winston Churchill said that a lot of people remember is that if you don't study the past, you're doomed to repeat the future. If you think about areas along the lines of Raleigh, Fraser, Hickory Hill, and South Haven, you can see what aggressive annexations have done to Shelby County, and in particular to the city of Memphis, and into those 4 areas. In the last 8 years since I got annexed into the city of Memphis, and prior to that, that points north in Cordova, you can see that same deterioration right here in Cordova. Because I moved 13 times before I got here, I can tell you point blank, I don't want to move. I want Cordova to be strong. And from this position, the state can actually come in if a municipality is not maintaining police, fire, EMTs, and garbage. So we do okay out here in Cordova on EMT and fire, but many of you will know that we're down 800 police. And anybody, how many people are from Cordova out in the crowd? We all know our garbage does not get picked up every week routinely. It's a major problem out here. And I don't think that we should be living in a garbage heap. And I want the crime to be reduced. It's not fair to us. There are many, many good people out here, and we deserve a safe community and a clean community. Point blank. That's what everybody wants, right? Can I hear an amen to that? Right? Everybody wants that. And we can do it. Now, to start off, Rob touched on this, Chris touched on this. We can convert Democrats to Republicans using basic need. I've been out knocking doors. A lot of people have been helping me. And what I tell people is, because I don't worry about whether or not they're a Democrat or a Republican. In fact, today, my opponent's sign was in the yard and I still knocked that door. And what I said to them was, I know that you're involved because you've already thought about the election because there's a sign in your yard. But I'd like to give you the opportunity to interview both candidates. So after I gave my pitch, which is basically what you all heard, I've studied, I've prepared. I'm not a politician, but I know the facts on this. So after I gave it, and I ended it with, I don't expect you to take that sign out of the yard, but nobody will know whose button you push in the poll, right? When you go in, it's private. So his exterior can say, hey, I might be supporting Dwayne, right? I'm advertising for him. But on the flip side, he sat there and said, what you're saying is true. It resonated with him. And you can see it in their body language going, yeah, this guy's been in office 4 years. Yeah, okay, I'm a D, but he hasn't been doing his job. You've been out here fighting for the people. And it's that kind of battle. It's ground warfare. It's knocking on doors. It's getting those people to call 5 people after they talk. So we are all united in the fact that we have needs. And if our needs are met by our elected officials laying that groundwork, that's what kind of leadership you want. And that's what I hope you all see in me. I hope I have your support. I'm Patricia Puzzle. We're 42 days out. Come support, helping out the poll.
Announce your event on the 14th.
Yes, I need money because these things cost money. So I'm having an event October 14th. It's out at Brett Taylor's house out in Eads. And for those of you that are into architecture or history, Brent has this awesome house. If nothing else, it's worth the drive to come out to take the tour of his house. Y'all will come in the back way. And the back side of this house is a replica of the Capitol in Texas. The front side of this house is a replica of the house, Capitol in Mississippi. And he married the two houses together. It is phenomenal. If you're into art, architecture, landscaping, any of that, it's worth the drive just to go out to see that. But I'd love that check too. So come on out, 5:30 to 7 on the 14th. You can, I'm the only Patricia Apostle in the entire United States, so a little trivia on me. If you want to find me, you can easily find me. Just Google Patricia Possel. You will find me, get my phone number, text me and say you're going to come. Because I like to make sure I have enough food to feed you all. Okay? Anything else?
Patty, thank you. She's certainly is the tallest, but she won't claim anything else. But this lady has been working for Cordova as long as I have known her, and I know her for a long, long, long time. I can't think of anybody better to represent Cordova. And again, House District 96 was ours for years, and we gave it away. That's a story we probably need to share one of these days, but we need to get it back. We certainly need to get it back, and there is nothing I can think of will represent Cordova better than Patty Puzzle, for sure. Patty intentionally probably left something out, but I'm just gonna, can I disclose it? Who would be the speaker at her fundraiser? Our Congressman, David Kostoff, actually will be there on October the 14th, so it's a must. You guys should go. Brent Teller was a former Memphis City Councilman, if you can remember him. That's his house. incredible house. I've been there several times, and man, this guy knows how to party. I want to recognize real quick Todd Payne, who is the president of the Cordova Republican Club.
Thanks, thanks.
Cordova, Todd, thank you. In very little short time, he has done a phenomenal job with the Cordova Republican Club. He just had which day was it? Thursday?
Yes.
Thursday, he had a party at the Cordova Community Center.
Yeah.
Todd Stern, he's the former Fox news anchor.
Yes.
Yeah, so he was the speaker. We had a lot of fun. It was a great show. And it was a lot of people there, Todd. Thank you so much for doing that.
Yep.
So intentionally, I left John DeBerry for the last because I have heard his speech many times. And I have heard from people all the time that you don't want to speak after John DeBerry. So that's why it was not because he came in last. This is the reason we want him to speak last, because the word is you don't want to speak after John DeBerry. Before I do that, we're doing really good with the time. So after John DeBerry speak, you guys will have time to speak. Ask questions if you would like to. Any question goes to John DeBerry, Patty, or Rob White. They will hang around and you can ask some questions. Before we go to John DeBerry, I want to thank my friend. He's also the third vice chairman of the East Shelby. He has done an incredible job cooking. I have eaten his food. He cooked some great food, and he cooked some food for you guys. You guys are welcome to get some food. Hang around. We have plenty of drinks in here. Paul, thank you again. Everybody clap. All right, way to go. John DeBerry, he is the Tennessee House Representative, District 90. So most of you guys have known what happened to him. He has been elected as a Democrat, but he goes with his heart, and he goes with what is right. He has voted with Republican when he felt like this is the right thing to do. He has not, I think he acted like what Jeff Guest said. It is not the Republican answer, it is not the Democratic answer, it is the right answer. That's what he said, and that's what he has done. Back that up. And think about how bankrupt they are. They actually kicked him out of the party. And I'm so happy. That's the last guy they have, that last good guy they have, and they kicked him out. How bankrupt that party is. And we're more than honored and glad to get behind this guy. Without saying anything else, guys, Representative John DeBerry.
I want to thank you for allowing me to come and talk to you this evening and to listen to other candidates, and I appreciate what they have said and their dedication to not just their political views, but their dedication to this city, to this county, and to this country. And I think that this is a time when every one of us needs to do a little bit of introspective examination of ourselves and ask ourselves really what it is that we stand for. Because, we all have our philosophies and ideologies and our beliefs and our opinions. And all of that's well and good. This is America, and everybody's entitled to it. But I think that something has been said, and I know it was said the last time I was here, and I'm sure that each of my colleagues are saying the same thing. This is probably one of the most important elections that we've had in quite some time, in many, many, many decades, because it will be a determination of which direction this country goes probably for generations to come. My grandchildren, your grandchildren, and children, for those of you who are younger, and our great-grandchildren, in many days forward. We look at the Supreme Court, we look at the Congress, we look at the Senate, we look at each of these bodies, and we realize that these are bodies that are teetering at the crossroads. And depending on how well we do on the 3rd of November, that's those of us who understand what's at stake. How well we do on the 3rd of November will make a determination as to which way this country goes. I was flying in, and if I mentioned this the last time I was here, please pardon my redundancy, because I was flying in from Washington one time, and I was coming over the Mississippi River as we were heading toward whatever the pilot did to make his landing and get the plane in position to land the plane. And I noticed the Mississippi River that was under us and how crooked it was as it went all through the landscape. And I remembered something from my grade school years, that a river is a meandering stream. And it's a meandering stream for this reason. Water always takes the path of least resistance. And therefore, when it meets an object, it tries to go around the object rather than moving the object. Therefore, the river becomes a very crooked body of water. When we look at the landscape right now, and I think all of us have to look at ourselves, we've got to look at our political parties, we've got to look at the country in general, and realize that for a long time, we've taken the path of least resistance. That it is time for us to stand, for us to speak, for us to have the courage and the stamina in order to say some of the things that have to be said. We don't have the luxury of being silent anymore, ladies and gentlemen. We don't have that luxury anymore. We don't have the luxury of doing nothing. We don't have the luxury of stepping on to the side of the road and watching things continue to happen. If we don't change what's happening in America right now, it's not whether or not you are a Democrat or a Republican, or whether you like the president or you like the challenger. What the media has been able to do is take our eyes off the prize. What is important? The principles that are important. The principles that made this nation in the first place. The principles that made us great, that gave us a great economy, that gave us freedom. We've taken our eyes off of those principles because what the media wants us to do is to concentrate on personalities. Who do you like and who you don't like? Who speaks the best? Who looks the best? Who has on the best shoes today? Whose hair is blowing in the wind? The media has been able to make us stupid to the extent that we're not looking at what's really important. What's important? What's important is whether or not we protect life. Whether an unborn child has the constitutional right to be born, to take his or her first breath as a human being. I have always wondered how a human male and a human female can get together and have something that is not human. But there are those who want you to take your eyes off of that simple principle, and you become crooked in your thinking because you take the path of least resistance rather than simply saying, that's not right. That's not right. I will not accept it in any shape, form, or fashion. When the framers of the Constitution, they wrote that great document, and we celebrate the anniversary of the Constitution the other day. The framers of that great document, it is a great document, the greatest document probably ever written by man, because it's based on the greatest document ever written. The Constitution is based on those principles that are within the scriptures. And when we take our eyes off the fact that there is a foundation to this nation, that George Washington demanded to place his hand on the Bible. He began that tradition. He stepped down after 2 terms. He started that tradition, that he refused to be called the king. That in the preamble of the Constitution, it says over and over, we the people. We realize that America has its faults, its flaws, its failures. We've got a history to where they're just like every other country. There are some things we wish had not happened. But the fact is, because of our faith, because there is a book that is greater than all of us and a being that created each of us, we always return to our faith. We walk by faith and not by sight. Yes. Because that book said all men are created equal, we amended that document to give folks freedom who didn't have it. Because that book said neither male nor female, bond nor free, yes, we amended that document so when women could have the vote. We've amended that document over and over and over because of the foundation of our faith. If we continue to allow those forces to make us take the path of least resistance, to who can talk the best, who can style, smile, and profile, who can grin the best, who can walk the best, who can stir the crowd. If we continue to allow them to dumb us down, yes, instead of us peeling back the layers and say, what do these people stand for? What do they stand for? Are they murdering babies? Are they destroying the institution of marriage? Are they allowing those who refuse to obey the law to have more protection of the law than everybody else? Are they removing our First and Second Amendment rights? If we don't start asking those tough questions, then people are going to sit at home on the 3rd of November and say, well, I don't like either one of them because neither one of them inspire me. Well, it's not about either one of them. It's about the future of this nation. Amen. And who we can look beyond the personality and who's going to stand on the principles that we believe in. If the platform does not contain those principles, you cannot vote for it.
Amen.
You cannot vote for it. If that platform doesn't contain the protection of life, the liberties that men and women have died for all over this world and spilled their blood so that we can have these rights, if these are not on this platform, and if we see that this is not what these folks stand for, then we've got to vote the other way. It's just that simple. I'm running as an independent. Not because the folks in my district didn't qualify me to run, they did. Not because they hadn't voted for me 13 times, they had. Not because they didn't know what I stand for, they've known that since 1995. But because a tribunal, a group of people, many of whom have never set foot in District 90 in their lives, sat in a Zoom meeting in the middle of a pandemic with 48 hours notice and removed a 26-year incumbent from the ballot. That's frightening. That's frightening. It's not about John B. Berry. It's about whether or not the Constitution that men and women, like my father who is a Korean War veteran, men and women who have given everything they have so that we can sit here today with freedom. It's about that.
That's right.
When we have folks walking out in cemeteries saying that the cross on a man or woman's grave who gave the last measure of devotion for this nation offends them, and we think that's okay, and we go along with those crosses being covered, and those graves being desecrated, and public buildings being defaced, and statues being pulled down, I've got to ask myself, sometimes I sit at home and say, what in the world has happened to the America that when Roosevelt stood up that day on December, after the Pearl Harbor, December 8th, I assume it was, when he faced Congress, and he used a term that I have remembered since my childhood, the righteous might. The righteous might. What has happened to the righteous might of America? We've all got to ask ourselves some serious, serious questions, because if November 3rd rolls around and we allow the media to make this about who can smile the best, walk the best, who got on the cutest suit, rather than the platforms that these men are standing on, if we allow that to happen, lose our country. We're going to lose our country. Amen. And our grandchildren and great-grandchildren are not going to have the same freedom that we have, because it's not going to be the same country. Go ahead. And we need to tell our neighbors, go on and let someone else name the members of the Supreme Court for the next 8 years. And then see, when they talk about diversity, oh Lord, you're going to have some diversity. You're going to have some diversity. And it's not going to be racial diversity. There's going to be some diversity. There are a lot of things that we have to think about. Thank y'all for listening. I didn't mean to talk and run my mouth so long, but thank you for listening, and I hope you'll support me.
I was hoping that John would go another at least 35 minutes. At least 35 more minutes. This guy is incredible.
With a message like that, you ought to run for something.